Hello, it is Friday, January 4th, and we appreciate you tuning in to the 2Close2Call podcast with Pags and Miho. We absolutely have our best show to date for you today. Episode 3, we get into a lot of great ideas. We have a guest, Tony Manville, who's our resident Bears expert. He tells a story about us back in Texas during the summer that honestly is probably one of the best stories ever told and one of the best stories of my life. So you're definitely going to want to tune into that. So I know this episode runs a little bit long, but that's because we have some great information and some detail for you around some great topics. So do me a favor, lend me your ears for the next 60 minutes or so. We appreciate it, and share this with your friends. Come on in.
Coach, you were 5-79 last year. Why the playoff talk?
Well, we made a couple of key trades, and we got the funk.
Oh, well, glory be, the funk's on me, Bob.
Keep that funk alive. Keep that funk alive.
Well, it's 1975, and we'll just be keeping the funk alive. So what's that?
Hello, it is Friday, January 4th, and this is the third episode, number 3 of the 2Close2Call podcast. I am one of your co-hosts, Miho. I'm here with my boy Pags. Pags, what's going on today, man? TGIF.
Oh, thank God. It's a shortened week, all New Year's and the holidays, beginning of the year. Back to work, back to the old grind, doing well.
Good, man, good. So you sell anything out there this week?
Kicking off the year, trying to start strong. People are still in the fog of old New Year's and the holidays, getting back into work. Next week's going to be the real grind.
So you didn't have a 45-minute call with your collections department and one of your customers because they're not paying their bills?
No, but I'm assuming that's what happened to you.
Oh, it was a hell of a Wednesday, baby. Oh, man. Trying to figure out why we're double billing them, but we're not double billing them. They actually got 2 of the refrigerators they ordered, but they only paid for 1 of them. And, oh, yeah, it was a solid 45 minutes of back and forth on money-related topics.
You know, it's the shit that you can't control that drives you freaking nuts.
That's all it is, man. Just rolling with the punches, right? Another day, another dollar.
Absolutely.
But hey, episode number 3. We're going to continue on kind of what we started last week or earlier this week and kind of go off of who our favorite number 3 is of all time. So who you got, Pags?
Mine, I didn't really need to even think about this. My answer is the answer. My favorite basketball player of all time, Allen Iverson.
We're talking about practice, Pags.
Practice.
We're talking about
practice. He doesn't give a shit about anything. Crossing over MJ, I was at that game when I was a little kid. My dad took me to that game, and ever since then, I was like, man, this guy is the best. I can't. Stepping over Tyronn Lue, he's the man.
Did you ever own a pair of Iversons?
Absolutely. I had the zip-up ones. I had black and white. I had the red and white. And then I even had the questions, his first one, the questions out of the Reebok red and whites.
So how about this? My parents didn't allow me to have Iversons because my old man didn't approve of his attitude.
That is such a Chris Mahalik thing to do. Oh, my God.
Can't watch The Simpsons and can't have a pair of Iversons.
And now you're on the podcast saying fuck whenever you want.
And now I'm watching Family Guy.
Exactly.
So, but no, that is definitely the answer around these parts. Number 3, Allen Iverson, still involved with the Sixers, so you still see him on TV from time to time. And, man, that run they had in 2001 there, winning all those Game 7s, that was a lot of fun.
That was what really got me into the NBA. I mean, I loved watching Jordan and everything, but I was never a diehard NBA player. But when Iverson really took over the city, it was the first time I really saw how awesome Philadelphia is. And, I mean, we've seen it lately with the Phillies and the Eagles. And this town really backs a team. And that's the first time I really remember it with Croce putting it up on the water towers. And you just saw Sixers flags flying everywhere. And we're outside of Philadelphia, but man, that was fun.
Dikembe Mutombo trying to deal with Shaq. Oh, God. We're the only team that won a game. Let's go. Game 1.
What a nightmare that was. But that whole playoff series was crazy with going to 7 games with Vince Carter and the Raptors and then going to get 7 again with the Bucks with Ray Allen. It was insane.
It was. Meanwhile, the Lakers are sweeping everybody.
Yeah, they had a tough one with the Kings in the Western Conference Finals, but that was it.
Great answer by you, and honestly, probably my truthful answer as well. But in the spirit of the game, in the episode here, I'll hit you with what a lot of people don't remember is same time frame, right? So 2001 to 2003, for 3 years, A-Rod signed that 10-year, $250 million deal with the Texas Rangers. Well, those were the exact years I was living in Southlake, right outside of Dallas, and A-Rod, as a Texas Ranger, actually wore the number 3. He was the top player, making the top money, MVP, rocking number 3. So that was another reason why that number was locked in 2001.
Yeah, I completely forgot he even wore the number 3. That's a good pull by you.
People remember him with the Yankees, and he was traded from the Rangers to the Yankees, switched his number when he got traded. But the old Rodriguez number 3 jersey is a good throwback to mix in there if you ever want to impress some chicks out there.
Absolutely. Was that pre or post steroids?
That was prime time needle in my ass, baby.
Oh, A-Rod, man, that guy was the best. But, so for 2019, I'm trying to drink 160 ounces of water every day. And I got to tell you, being in outside sales, and it does not compete.
Dude, how many ounces are in a cup of water? 12?
Yeah, I have one of these big-ass bottles that's 30, so I fill up.
Are you supposed to drink that much water? You're going to fucking drown yourself.
With how fat I am, yeah, I do. I got a lot of freaking body mass here that I need to freaking cover with get myself hydrated enough.
The blubber to water ratio is high?
Oh, then you throw in the beers that I drink. I mean, you got to counteract that somehow.
Hey, those are water, aren't they? Those are water.
Yeah, I guess, if you're drinking the lights like I do. So I guess, yeah, you're right. I mean, I'm drinking more than that.
Super hydrated.
Fun fact that is sweeping the nation, segmenting off of water, is you see this shit with Juju Smith-Schuster, one of my favorite players in the NFL. I mean, the dude rides a bike throughout Pittsburgh. I mean, I can't stand the Steelers. This guy cracks me up. I'm going to read you his fact of the day.
Say, what the hell do you do now?
Water is not wet. Water is a liquid that wets things. Wet, in quotation marks, is the condition of a liquid sticking to a solid surface, such as water wetting our skin. We cannot, all caps, say that water is wet because it takes a liquid and a solid to define the term wet.
Oh, my God. Is water wet?
I mean, I'm just blown away by him even reaching out to this, and like the whole Kyrie Irving saying the world's flat. Like, these guys can say things, and this social media just eats it up, and I don't even really want to comment on this because I just think it's the dumbest thing I've ever freaking seen.
Right? Not even that, dude, but the timing of it. To release this within the week, you get eliminated from the playoffs because your ass fumbled. One of the reasons. Antonio Brown circus is going on. Maybe he's just trying to get a distraction and get people talking about whether or not water's wet, and that way the Antonio Brown, Mike Tomlin talk subsides.
Wet is an adjective that describes something, and yes, water is solid, but it's still
water is not solid, Pags. Water is a liquid, you clown.
Yeah, but ice is water, solid.
Yes, but it is ice at that point. It's a new form. Water is not solid. Ice is solid.
Shit, then we need to fucking put out something else like this and have people debating on this.
Is ice wet?
Like, come on. I guess that's kind of what you're just trying to say, but I don't know. Anyway, another thing I saw this week that absolutely hits home, and it seems like we're just hitting these Pittsburgh things, but Sidney Crosby. You see this shit with this heckler?
Ah, God, what a punk. Sidney.
Yeah, right? I mean, I love the heckler. I mean,
the only bad part about it is that I want to give him some credit, but the heckler was a Rangers fan, so I'm like, shit.
I know. I would like us to celebrate like the guy at the Eagles parade that had the sign that says Eagles win the Super Bowl, yay! But Sidney Crosby still sucks. Like, that guy was the best. But,
even at a football parade.
Let me just read you some of these lines that this guy was throwing at Crosby. First off, he hits him with, "Hey, Crosby," every single time, which solid to get Crosby's attention. But it seems like this guy had a hard-on for Malkin. "Hey, Crosby, Malkin would have had more cups had he had a better supporting cast.
That's pretty good. Because
Okay.
Malkin's the supporting star, best supporting actress.
There you go. You got voted the third toughest Canadian behind Celine Dion and a close second to Avril Lavigne.
Tied with Justin Bieber.
Yes. And then he hits him with Gatorade was looking for a sponsor that had some grit and toughness. Bieber turned it down, so they went to you.
Yeah, so he did involve Bieber. That's what it was. I remember Bieber somewhere.
In that way. and then he was giving him shit how Malkin has a Rookie of the Year and you don't.
Amazing. But I love Sidney, right? Because
he
was sitting right next to the penalty box, and Sidney originally hit him with the standard squirt of the water bottle through the glass routine. Like, don't look at you, but just squirt the water over.
By the way, I love that. I love when they do that. I would totally go for that. If a guy doesn't squirt water, I'm gonna be pissed.
Yeah, just a little acknowledgement.
But then Crosby, he signs the stick, he gives it to him, he writes a little note to him, and I think that's the biggest thing I take from this is
little love letter.
How lame Sidney Crosby is. Good chirps. Take it easy on me next time.
XOXO.
Everything this guy does drives me insane. I do not deny the fact that he is a stud. He may even be the greatest of all time, catching Gretzky, but this guy, he just rubs me the wrong way.
No, I'm with you. I remember one highlight. It was years back where I forget his name. I think his name was Josh Smith. He was on the Flyers as a defenseman. He was actually their captain. He was here for like 1 year or half a year. And during the playoff series, there's a scrum after a stoppage by the goalie, and the mic picks up what the guys are saying, right? So Sidney's like pushing him in his face, and Smith comes in and puts his glove in his face, and he goes, "You fucking whine after every fucking play. Get the fuck out of here." And I was like, yes, all he does is bitch and moan. It drives me nuts.
He really does.
But no, that is pretty cool that he gave the guy a stick and whatnot, so I will give him credit there.
Absolutely, but come on, Sid, give me a little better line on the stick, or just sign the stick.
Yeah.
Don't write good chirps. That's just lame.
Lame.
But yeah, so I got one last thing for you.
Hit me.
Texas-Georgia game. Did you see the zoomed-in shot of Sam Ellinger's play call sheet?
No, Texas's quarterback.
Yeah. So he's got about 15 plays on the top. I'm sure it flips back up, and there's even more plays on there.
Yeah, they run a pretty simple offense. It was pretty much him to the left, him to the right. So.
So yeah, that's what that also shows on this thing. Let me read you play number 7. Sting left stinger.
Sting left stinger.
Probably.
Oh, very complicated.
Number 9, center the ball right.
Center the ball right is the play.
So I'm sure that's like getting to field goal range or something like that. Anyway, that's besides the point. Number 8, in all capital letters, go fuck yourself, bitch.
No way.
Is that not the greatest play call ever?
Oh, my God. All I know is they ran that play repeatedly against Georgia.
Absolutely. Georgia did not know how to stop play number 8.
He came into the huddle at least 5 times and was like, "We're going to run, go fuck yourself, bitch, on 2. Ready? Break."
What do you even say when you're a player? Like, coach puts in the play, draws up the plays. Like, this play's called go fuck yourself, bitch.
Amazing. I could see myself playing for Tom Herman.
Absolutely. He's the best. I love him.
Bringing the juice.
All the way, baby.
Hashtag hook 'em.
Hook 'em, baby. Yeah, so that kind of segues us into a big game coming up this Monday.
Yeah, a little bit of a big one going on there.
I feel like I've seen this game before the last 4 years.
This is like who is it? Mayweather Pacquiao. No, they only went once. Whoever the hell went 3 times, right? But round 4,
exactly.
Ding ding ding.
Oh my God! I mean, I'm sick of it, but this is the best game we're gonna get.
And it is the 2 new quarterbacks who I'm interested in watching.
Yeah, Tua played a half last year.
-6 though, Bama. Are you taking Bama, given the points?
I thought about this, and I want to go Clemson so bad, but they keep losing guys, and mean, Bama, been here, done that. You could say Clemson has too, but I'd have to go Bama. Take the points.
I'm going to go out on a limb, man, and I'm going to take Clemson. My head tells me Alabama's going to win, but something, being a Pittsburgh fan, watching them play Clemson, seeing the difference between Kelly Bryant and Trevor Lawrence, and, looking back at last year's game, 24-6, Alabama, Clemson couldn't do anything offensively, even at the beginning of this year, which is why they made the transition over to the Kid. And since then, they've been scoring a ton of points. So I definitely see Clemson keeping it competitive, and if Alabama takes their foot off the gas even a little bit, like they did against Oklahoma, Clemson could run in here and steal this one.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see that. I went on a limb last year and picked Georgia. I don't know if I'm going to go against the evil empire.
You've learned your lesson.
Yeah.
No, I like it. So Clemson with the 6. That's going to be my pick for the weekend. I know the money's on Alabama, and they're bet $500, win $250, and Clemson's the other way. So I don't know where the money is, but give me Clemson.
I just can't see this game coming down to a field goal.
It'll be.
I can see whoever wins is winning by a touchdown or more. But then that's not all we got going on this weekend. This is the best time of the year. I mean, it's going to start dwindling away in the next couple weeks, but wild card playoffs, it's going to be awesome.
So I found myself yesterday as I was looking into some of these games, knowing we're going to make a little bit of a prediction today. And after I got through the college football and the 4 NFL games, I found myself not sure if this is the right move or not, but I am literally taking 5 out of 5, the underdog. Every single game, I'm taking the points and the underdog.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm taking the Colts +1 at Houston. I think that's maybe the best game of the weekend. I could certainly see Houston winning, but the Colts at 1-5 to 10-6, 9-1. There's not a hotter team, and give me one, man. The line's gone from 3 down to 1, so the money's on the Colts, and I think I'm going to jump on the bandwagon.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you. I think I'm going to take the Colts as well. I just feel like Bill O'Brien always finds something idiotic to do. And I really think Frank Reich is a great coach, and he went through it all last year with the Birds. I feel like Andrew Luck has something to prove, and that Colts team is electric when they need to be.
Eric Ebron back from the dead.
T.Y. Hilton, he's a stud.
Very similarly, the line in the Seattle-Dallas game actually made the same transition. Opened up at Seattle +3. Money's come in on the Hawks, down to Seattle +1. I'm still taking Russell Wilson.
Fuck the Cowboys. I refuse to pick them ever.
Now, having said that, the Eagles fan, there is the sub-message of if Dallas wins, that will lock in Jason Garrett and it will lock in Dak Prescott, which in the long haul could be good for Birds fans.
Bro, I don't think Jerry's getting rid of them anyway.
You don't think he's making a move if they lose?
No. Jerry
That's fair.
can control Jason Garrett whenever he wants, and I think he really enjoys that.
Puppet strings.
Exactly.
Now, the third game, and honestly, out of the 5, the one that I could see going to the favorite, but I do think a second time you see an offense such as Baltimore, that LA, the Chargers, is going to be able to make the adjustments and stop Jackson and be able to pull it out after they got hammered a few weeks ago.
Yeah, we're pretty much on the same wavelength here. I mean, I can always see the Ravens doing exactly what they did to them 2 weeks ago, but I really think Phillip Rivers is going to get them past this and at least on to another game.
And I do want to see the Chargers-Chiefs one more time.
Yeah, but if we get the Colts winning, we might have to wait another week.
That's true. That's right. They're the 6.
But I'm with you. I do want to see Chargers-Chiefs again. But I could also – you could give me Patriots-Chargers, and I'm all for that as well.
Yeah, and if it's Houston, New England, I'm cool with that too. So really, really looking forward to seeing how those turn out.
The NFC, you know the juggernaut's sitting there waiting for everybody down in New Orleans. The AFC – Andy Reid hasn't won a home playoff game in Arrowhead in, 6 years?
Since he's been there, right?
There's no home field advantage in the playoffs for some reason. The Titans went and beat them last year down there. Marcus Mariota had to throw a pass to himself, and they still beat him. It's crazy. We have our eyes on one particular game that hits home for us, but the other game should be very exciting.
No, absolutely. And like you mentioned, the Bears-Eagles round out the weekend. And because of that, that's why I was actually bringing in a good friend of mine and an old teammate. We played together through college. Tony Manville is going to be joining us here in just a moment or so to talk Chicago and get their perspective and how they're feeling going into the game. So after that conversation, Pags and I will dive back in a little more detail, kind of give our thoughts on how things went and how we see the game going. So thanks for listening into this first segment, and we appreciate your ears.
Coach, you were 5-79 last year. Why the playoff talk?
Well, we made a couple of key trades, and we got the funk.
Joining us now is a buddy of mine, Anthony Manville, otherwise known as Tony, or his wife Jess calls him, "Hey, Tone, get over here." So Tony was a collegiate baseball player with myself. We actually played a summer together down in Texas in the TCL as the Texas Tomcats. Tony was arrived in Texas via 2 years of Big Ten baseball playing at Iowa, and then he decided to take his talents elsewhere to Northern Illinois in the MAC. But his best season actually came that summer as a Tomcat, where he was 4-4 with an ERA of 2.17 in 10 games over 62 innings. So I guess, Tony, how much of your success there can you contribute to playing with somebody as skilled as myself?
That was a great summer, and as you can see, I didn't get much help on the offensive end, so that's what I'll blame my record on. 4-4. I think all those games I lost, I think you were 0-for. If I can remember, I don't know. I don't know if there's still stats online for that, but
not individually. But I will say I hit 299 that summer and led the team in dingers and RBI. So maybe I had an off night, and if I had an off night, apparently the Tomcats had an off night. So I do apologize.
Humble brag, you still got snubbed from the All-Star game.
We both did. Fuck those Northerners.
Classic pitcher move. I was 4-4. I didn't get any support.
Yeah, Pags, you put up a 2 ERA. I mean, your team can't score more than 2 runs for you. I mean, what the fuck?
I hear you. I played O-line, and every time my quarterback didn't have a good passing range, well, the O-line didn't fucking block for me.
Exactly. It's a thankless job.
Pags, you haven't blocked since you were 5 years old as my center on 80 pounds, okay?
Well, I kicked some ass.
I believe it.
Appreciate that, Tony. Hey, but Tony, I've known this kid since, Kev, how fucking old were we? 5, 6 years old?
I'll say first grade, I think.
You got to give me some stories of playing baseball with this kid, because, I played football with him, played basketball with him, never played baseball with him. What's it like playing with this kid, and got any good stories down in Texas?
Yeah, I think, like you said, you've known the kid for a while, so you can attest that he's just a true blessing as a friend. But, first time I ever met Kev, we had our meeting, beginning of the summer meeting, and this was when, this was 2010, the Blackhawks were playing the Flyers in the Stanley Cup, and I think it started the next day. And
it was right after Game 1. I watched Game 1 on the way down there.
Yeah, and we're doing we do our little introductions. Hi, hey, I'm Tony, I'm from Chicago, and we get done, and, Kevin looks up and he says, "Hey, which one of you fucks is from Chicago?" And I was just in front of a bunch of people that he doesn't know, I don't know. I go, "I am." And he goes, "We're going to have problems this summer." And, of course, I don't want to rub it in, but I think the Blackhawks went on to beat them in 6.
Yeah, we were there, man, watching that one together.
So we did. So that was fun, but
puck didn't go in.
Yeah, it still hasn't gone in.
It still hasn't gone in. No one knows where it's at.
To be played.
Yeah, it's stuck in the net to this day. But no, Kev, man. Honestly, a couple stories about him. The first time, I truly knew that, hey, this is going to be a guy I think he's going to stand up in my wedding one day. We were down in San Antonio. We had a couple days off, and I guess I should preface it where we kind of worked the system pretty good. I had another buddy down there, Zach Oates, real 6'7", 260 guy, played with me at Northern, and him and I would always pitch back-to-back days, and we would always somehow land on, we'd pitch, 2 games at home, and if we went on the road for 2 or 3 days after that, we weren't going to pitch. We didn't have to go. So we kind of parlayed it. I think Kevin faked an ankle injury one time, and we went down to Austin. We went down to Austin for 2 days, and then since, like I alluded to earlier, we all got snubbed from the All-Star game from being up north. They all called us them damn Yankees, They're not over the war yet. So we, during the All-Star break, we went down, what was it, Kevin, about 8, 10 of us that went down to this We had a kid named Ricky who had a lake house
We hit
down in San Antonio.
We hit Six Flags San Antonio in the morning.
That's right.
And then we cruised over to his lake house, which was like a half hour from there for the night.
Yeah, so we go there, total bro fest, right? Like I said, 8, 10 of us and we're drinking, we're having fun. And so it gets about, it was probably like 10 o'clock, right? And we ran out of beer. Kevin and I are like, hey, who's going to go on a beer run? We need beer. So we're like, no one's speaking up, fuck it, we'll go. So we go, and of course down there in Texas, can't sell beer after 10 o'clock. Yeah. So
or liquor.
We're thinking, we don't, liquor, yeah. So we go into a gas station. There wasn't even a liquor store around. So we go into a gas station. We're looking around, and I'm looking at Kevin. I'm like, Kevin, I think we're fucked. But so we see these two or three chicks. They're a little rough around the edges.
They're Boondocks 8s, but City 5s, City 4s.
Yeah, if that, man. I mean, I think
so. They
one
had
of them was.
key?
Yeah, barely. One didn't. One did not, and the one who didn't, she might have been about $2 bills, and she was wearing a wife beater with no bra, so it was, you can kind of imagine. I go, Kev, ask him if there's any bars around here we can go to, right? So Kev goes, hey, ma'am, do you know if there's any bars around here? And this chick looks at him, puts her hand in her pocket, and goes, I got a Zanny right here. And so Kevin and I kind of look at each other like, oh boy. So we're like, oh no. Yeah. So then they look at us and they go, what do you need bars for? Like, what do you, we're like, well, we don't really need a bar. We just need some booze. She's like, well, what do you need booze for? We're like, oh, we're at a buddy's lake house about 2 miles down the road, having a party or whatever. Kind of say, hey, well, we're looking for something to do tonight. We got a bunch of booze back at our place. If you just want to, we're a mile down the road, 2 miles. If you want to follow us there, and then we can follow you back to the lake house. Like, you can, we got a bunch of bottles you guys can have. And we're like, oh, yeah, sure, whatever,
So Pags, we're feeling good at this point, right?
Yeah,
we're going to get liquor. We're coming back. And now we'll preface this by saying the kid's house who we're staying at is a picture from Pepperdine. Okay? So going to school in Malibu. So picture the lake house for what it will, but just know it costs this kid like $50,000 a year to go to college. All right? So we're assuming surrounding neighborhoods are going to be similar.
Yes. Right. Correct. Yeah, this house was every bit over $1 million, if not more, on the water. So we're like, yeah, okay, whatever. We'll go follow these girls. And so we're driving, and it's, it's pitch black. We're kind of in an area. I mean, it's not outside of like the houses on the lake. It's pretty, I don't want to say desolate, but, hilly and trees and whatever. So it's pretty dark. And so we're following, we go down a windy road here, a windy road there, and then we come up to a dirt road and pull in, and we go down about a half a mile down this dirt road. And to this day, I can see it as clear as day.
Me too.
2 double-wide trailers with Christmas lights, attached. We're in the middle of July here. Christmas lights all over the place.
If you've seen the show Trailer Park Boys on Netflix, you are seeing what we're walking into here all of a sudden.
I mean, yeah, go ahead.
I'm picturing the uncle from Christmas Vacation.
Similar,
place.
I mean, yeah, whatever you're thinking, and think a little bit worse. It's pretty much and to the point where I stopped the car at one point. I look at Kev and I'm like, Kev, I think this is one of those moments like where I don't think we should do this. And then Kevin, being the blessing that he is, shut up, Tony, we're doing it. we need booze. So okay, whatever. So we pull up. They get out of their car and they're like, hey, you're just gonna run inside for a second. Like, why don't you guys, come out? And there's a big fire pit with a bunch of lawn chairs, different kinds of lawn chairs
and
around
coolers
it.
To sit on.
And, yeah, coolers to sit on and whatever. So they're like, hey, take a seat. We'll here have a drink. They tossed us a beer, and so we're sitting there having a beer, waiting for them. God knows what they were doing inside. Well, before we get out of the car and immediately get attacked by 3 German shepherds on chains. Right? Big German shepherds. I mean, again, not for the second time.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, right? And then, it was almost, it's like the movies, right? Where you, see the dog coming, you go, oh, shit, and you back up, and then they jump, and the chain stops them, a foot from your face, whatever. That's what it felt like, at least. And now for the second time, I look at Kevin, and I say, Kev, I really don't think we should do this. And he goes, hey, they gave us a beer. Let's go. So okay. So we're sitting down, and they're having a beer, and then they come back out, and they're like, you guys mind if we finish a beer, and then we'll head? Sure, yeah, no problem, whatever. We're enjoying our time, and the whole time it's one of those situations where like in the back of your head you're like, oh, it's fine, it's no big deal. But on the surface you're like, this is a little sketchy, I don't know. It's one of those places where my parents wouldn't have been proud for me to go to follow that car down that road. So we're sitting there, and then all of a sudden, we ease in, and then all of a sudden a car turns down the road, and this girl jumps out of her chair faster than I've ever seen, and she goes, "You guys need to get the fuck out of here right now." The drama just went from a 2 to a fucking 10, and Kevin and I are looking at each other, and like we're both like little kids, like just scared out of our mind, like right. So we're running to the car.
We're like, that was
right?
a fucking 2? We just had dogs almost bite our faces off.
Yeah. So we're like, what the hell? Okay, so we get back in the car, we flip it in reverse, and we're getting out of there. And then as we start going down the road, the chick in the wife beater jumps on the hood of our car, right? We start slowing the car, and she goes, wait, can we please go with you? And I look at Kev for the third time. And I say, Kev, we should not be doing this. No, they cannot come. And he goes, yeah, come on, just bring the booze. So
I was surprised, Kev.
Yeah, I mean, he was locked in. The thought of going back to the lake house empty-handed was just not an option. So whatever, they get in their car and we get out of there and they follow us back, and I text one of my buddies on the way back, and I go, hey, we got these 3 girls that are coming back and they're gonna hang out or whatever, and he responds like, oh, no way, nice, man. And I'm like, no, it's not. Like, it's not, it's not going to be nice.
Pags, the best part about this is we're about halfway through the story. There's more to come.
Right. There's a lot more, yeah. This is going to be a long podcast. So anyways, so we get inside, and then probably the most underrated part of the whole story is we walk inside, and there's 8 college baseball players sitting around a kitchen table playing a drinking game, and every single one of them has their shirts off. so like we're like, what the fuck is going on? We were gone for 40 minutes, and so I think they were playing. What are they playing? Landmines or something like that, where they're crushing the cans and
sounds like strip poker.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah, right. Weird. So then these girls come stumbling in, and the kid who owned the house, I don't know what his deal was, but whatever. These girls walk in, he looks at us, and he goes, you brought girls here? And runs up to his bedroom, shuts the door, and we don't see him again the rest of the night.
So we don't see him again.
We didn't, and so whatever, and we're like, well, it's 10:30, 11 o'clock, whatever it is, like we're not going to stop partying just because he went to bed. And people tried to wake him up, his door was locked, whatever, so like, okay. So we're all sitting around the table playing a drinking game, and this one girl, let's describe the girls, okay? One of them, about 200 pounds, wife beater, no teeth. Another one, she might have been pushing 3 bills. Let's just be honest. One was pretty hot, but she had a lip ring and wore Vans, and claimed that she was a lesbian. Take it for what it is, but so we're sitting there, we're playing a card game, and this kid named Neil played at Georgetown. Neil was a character, right? Neil's a great guy. Get some liquor in him, though, and it was like, who is this kid? He was just, this a short story about Neil. One of the last days of summer ball, he's driving around in his Jeep at our host parents' land. They had
oh my God, we should have died.
500 acres of land, and we're all sitting in this Jeep, and he's driving. They were dirt bike racers, so they had a dirt bike track on this land, and he is going over the jumps and the moguls or whatever you call them and all that shit with his Jeep. And then, I remember
we were getting solid 3-4 feet of air in this Jeep Cherokee with 6 of us in there, no seat belts, half in the back.
Yeah, remember the Jason West and Jared West, some twins from Texas. They were literally crying, begging him to stop. And he had that look in it. He had that look in his eye, like, I'm not stopping. He doesn't. He had no intention of stopping. He had a big tub of chocolate protein in the front that flew up and popped open and got in everybody's face. So there's a picture of this kid, right? So anyways, this kid reaches over the table and goes, hey, I like your glasses, and takes this girl's glasses off her head.
Snatches them right off her face.
Snatches them, puts them right on his face. This girl went bananas, jumps on the table, the table collapses, falls to the ground.
Literally the top part of the table falls off the bottom part. So we have a saucer and a stand now at this point of this nice mahogany fucking dining room table.
Right. And it was on it had two little stands, so whatever, collapses, and we're like, oh shit. And I think someone's videotaping at this point, and trying to get it on whatever. I don't know if Snapchat was around back then or not, but someone's videotaping on their phone, and someone in the video, yells, hey, what the fuck are we gonna tell Ricky? Because and so we jimmy rigged this table back together, make it stand. I mean, a fly had to land on it and it would fall over again. But we jimmy rigged it, and the next morning we're all watching the video laughing.
Never told him.
And we're all watching the video, and Ricky's in the other room, and we're watching the video with a couple guys laughing, blah blah blah. Hey, don't show Ricky. Well, of course, he hears someone yell in the video, what are we gonna tell Ricky? So he gets all curious, whatever. So then Kev, I mean, then it gets even better. I mean, if you can
then we head down to the lake.
Then we head down to the lake, and I think they had one of those big water trampolines down there,
and a big ass dock to chill on.
And Pags, at this point, I know it's hard to believe, but we were pretty under the weather in terms of drinking. Yeah.
Hey, they did bring the booze. Okay, mission complete.
If you didn't bring the booze and these girls didn't come, you guys would be sober as a bird right now.
Yeah,
and apparently shirtless.
Shirtless, and the hangovers would have been starting already. It would have been brutal. So we go down there. We're all standing by the dock, and there's this one kid, and we look. We're all sitting on the trampoline, and Kevin and I were standing next to. It was me, Kevin, and then Zach Oates, who I told you about earlier. We're standing there, and one of our buddies, I won't name his name, he's standing next to the lesbian, and who has a lip ring, short hair, skater shoes. He is just absolutely hammered out of his mind. And she looks over at him and just puts her hand right on his dick. And we're watching this, and the way he describes it later is like it was all in slow motion, right? And so he thinks that we can't hear what's going on. We're standing 3 feet away, and the whole conversation goes. She puts her hand on his dick. He says, "I thought you were a lesbian," and she goes, "Yeah, but I like to suck dick." Right? And then he looks at her and goes, "Yeah, you want to suck my dick?" And she goes, "Yeah." And so we're looking, and Kevin, me, and Zach are sitting there, and I remember Zach looks at Kevin and he goes, "I cannot let him do this. He's one of my buddies. I can't let him do this." And Kevin grabs Zach by the shirt and he goes, "No, you let him do this."
You let him get his dick sucked, okay?
You let him do this. And so anyways, and then, one of the best parts too is it was not an easy walk for whatever reason. There was a big steep hill with some rocks. So this girl is climbing up the rocks. She falls, skids her knee. She's bleeding everywhere. And he looks and he turns around. He turns around halfway up the hill with this girl on his arm. And he goes, hey, guys, I'm going to grab a beer. Anybody need anything? And we're all sitting there like, okay. So he gets upstairs. We let him go. And we all get together. We're like, listen, he's going up to hook up with this chick. Like, let's go. And so we go up there. And sure enough, Kev, right there.
We get the camera out.
We get the camera out. And we don't hear much what's going on in the room. And all of us, all 6, 7 of us at once bust open this door. And they're just he's laying on the floor butt naked getting a blowjob. And it was just, it was hilarious. It was one of those things where you kind of had to be there for that moment. But the look on his face, and the best part was like, she didn't have a care in the world. She did not care.
That story had a lot of ups and downs and all kinds of things.
It was nuts.
It's like it's straight out of a movie.
And it's just, right, like, Pags, you piece it all together, too, from, like, moment to moment from what happened. And it's just, like, every time Kevin and I talk about it, that was 9 years ago.
Yeah, and, 8.5, going on 9 years. Wow.
Yeah, so it was just when you said, was Snapchat around at that time?
I know, that's my fault. But, yeah, I don't know if you guys are 30 yet, but my 30th is coming up in a few months, and it's,
Mine's in 5 days.
Oh, shit.
That's in 8 days.
Yeah.
Couple weeks,
That's,
man. Couple weeks. So, but now that you've
pretty
spilled
crazy.
one of my deepest, darkest secrets for all the internet to hear, let's get to the real reason why we brought you on today, and that's to tell you how much your Bears suck, and the Eagles are going to come in and whoop that ass on Sunday.
Hey. Hey, here's the deal. Last time I was in Philly, I went to a Bears-Eagles game with Kev, Sunday night football.
I was there with you.
You're right. And I was the final, 52-13 or something. It was one of the worst beatdowns. It's payback time here. I don't give a shit about, Nick Foles and Big Dick Nick this, Big Dick Nick that. You're coming into the gauntlet, man. I know you think you're Philly tough, but you're coming into Chicago in January, and you're not going to be welcome.
Oh, bear weather?
Better weather, baby.
No, I am worried because everybody talks about the Eagles and how they're playing good football and they're coming in hot, and then you take half a step back and you realize that the Bears are like 8-1 or 9-1 in their last 10, and they're probably even hotter than the Eagles are right now.
Yeah, I mean it's been one of those seasons where it's kind of they've been bad for so long. I mean 2010 was the last time that they won the division or made the playoffs, and it's one of those seasons where still right now there's a little bit of doubt, like is this real? Are they really that good? But seen some people and I've talked to some people, and hey, it's okay to believe, and then we're gonna believe. And I think what you guys got going for you is that you guys scraped in, right? So I mean, I think for you guys it's no pressure, right? You guys just barely scraped in. You're just happy to be there. You want to win, obviously, but if you lose, hey, well, we were 6 and whatever and weren't even supposed to get in, and we went on a run and made it. But yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. I live up in Minnesota now. I was at the Bears-Vikings game last weekend, and there's a little part of me that thinks we might have had a little hiccup, and should have kind of let them get in because, good God, are the Vikings brutal.
Well, let me ask
Kirk
you,
Cousins.
how soft are the Vikings fans?
Oh, Pags, the softest, and it's all Minnesota fans, right? So it's talk shit like on a week to week basis as they win. They could be 4-0, 5-0, talking shit. They lose one game, and everybody goes in and becomes a hermit crab and is like, we suck. This is such Minnesota. When they lost to the Buffalo Bills early in the season, it was, I couldn't even turn the radio on because all it was just whiny bitches talking about, oh, the season's done. Kirk Cousins is overpaid, which I think he might be.
True.
Pretty soft. And, I sent Kev a pretty funny video of me at the game, and I had my moments because living up here as a Bears fan, especially last year when the Vikings were so good, it's relentless. They're relentless when they're good, and then when they're not good, it's like it's the classic case of they can take it, but they or they can give it, but they can't take it.
Last year, Kev and I went to the NFC Championship game, and they came in firing. They came in
with their skull chants
of shit and doing this, putting Vikings jersey on the Rocky statue, like whatever. That's fine. I don't give a shit. We're in a section with mostly Vikings fans. They go down, they score the first touchdown. I look at Kevin, I'm like, this could be a long day. And then all of a sudden it changed, and you just see the purple slowly fade out of the section we're in, out of the stadium, and you don't hear from them ever.
Yeah, and I don't know how it was for you guys in terms of news after that game, but here you still hear stuff about it on the news about how poorly the Minnesotans were treated in Philly, and throwing the beer bottles at the bus. And yeah, sure, that's aggressive, but hey, listen, that's Philly, right? Like, you know what you're getting into. Like, if you don't want that stuff to happen, don't put a Vikings jersey on the Rocky statue, right? Like, and Kevin told me, so I've been to a Blackhawks Flyers game in Philly. I've been to a Bears Eagles game, and I'm not wearing my Patrick Kane jersey at the Flyers game. I'm not that dumb. Like, you just, hey, you don't need to be that guy. And they go around doing that stupid skull chant that, Jesus Christ, gets annoying. And so they're pretty soft. And like I said, they can dish it out, but they can't take it. And anytime someone does anything to kind of go after them, it's like, how dare you? You're so rude, and it just gets old. And it's almost the point where I can't even banter with my buddies back and forth about Bears Vikings, because if the Bears win, it's like they go into a shell, and then I'm an asshole.
Yeah,
Well, you are an asshole,
Right.
so that's true.
And I'll welcome that, and that's Kevin knows. I'm not going to feel bad about it.
I was loving your Snapchats of you in the stadium. I was cracking up at it.
Yeah. So, and I mean, that was the first quarter to go up 7-0 only, and you just saw how defeated they all looked.
So, but Tony, I'll finish with one kind of thought, and it's a little bit longer, but stay with me, and then you can kind of give your closing argument, so to speak. But
Sure.
so last year, very similar situation, right? The Falcons lose to the Patriots the year before, then start out slow, scrap their way to the playoffs, then they become the 6th seed, and what do? They go to L.A., where they get a young quarterback and a first-year head coach who really aren't ready for the big time. So what happens this year? The Eagles, coming off a Super Bowl, scratch their way to become a 6th seed. Where are they? They're on the road against a young quarterback and a first-year head coach. Anything inside of you that says Chicago may not be ready for the moment?
Honest to God, no. I think there is a little bit with Trubisky. And here's if I could give a minute on Mitch Trubisky. He is not as bad as everybody thinks he is. I think he's going to develop into a pretty solid quarterback. Now, is he going to be a Hall of Famer? Probably not. But I think he's going to be someone that can actually do something. And if you watch Bears games consistently, his interceptions, his turnovers, like that stuff, it's all, from what I can see, as just a little bit too much adrenaline, right? A lot of his interceptions are wide open receivers. He throws it a foot or two over their head, and it gets picked off, stuff like that. I mean, I've seen him do it a ton this year. And so I think if Nagy and some of these older guys on this team can kind of get him just to settle in, I think he'll be pretty good. And in terms of right now, Kev, Bags, like, he just needs to not fuck up. He doesn't need to do anything special. He needs to not fuck up. If he doesn't, if he limits the turnovers, puts up a few points, and lets the defense just stay on the field, I mean, honestly, like, it's weird that it's weird watching a football game hoping that your defense is on the field. Long term, I think he's going to be good once he learns how to just harness all that extra energy and adrenaline. In terms of this weekend, honestly, the only thing that might scare me a little bit is this whole little aura of Big Dick Nick and Nick Foles, and Nick's been touched by God. So I deep down think they beat the Eagles this week, that they go on to make the Super Bowl.
You're saying his adrenaline is pumping on a Week 6 game in Green Bay. How do they control his adrenaline when it's the first round of the playoffs and you're playing the Super Bowl champions?
I think that just goes into, weekly preparation and all that, and the meetings that you're having throughout the week leading up, and just as a coach, I used to coach, and it's convincing the guys that it's okay to be, to hype up the moment, but at the end of the day, everybody says it, right? It's just another game. It's not another game, but I think Nagy, from what I can tell, has a good knack for the players love him. The players look like they'll die for him. I mean, they do this club dub dance, and
they the best. Dub.
Yeah, right. Club dub, partying in the locker room, and so I think they're having fun, and I think like I said, I think it comes down to coaches' preparation, and if the coaches is hyping it up, then the players are going to get all hyped up. But if the coach is, laid back and he's doing the things that he should be, that's his job, especially with the young quarterback, just to make sure that he stays in the moment. And let's be honest, he's going to come out and he's going to have a ton of adrenaline, but I think the defense goes out, puts up a few stops in a row early on. The worst thing that can happen to us is if the Eagles go up a score or two early. I think that's how you guys would win the game. But if we can limit your points on the scoreboard early in the game, I think we have a pretty good chance. And at the end of the day, nobody thought the Bears would even be 500 this year, and they're 12-4.
So what's your prediction for the game? So, give me a score.
I'm thinking it's going to be 24-10, Chicago.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think it's going to be. I think 24. I think 24-10. That's what I feel in my heart. And
I think you're going to lose money.
That's a homer play. But
I think you're going to lose
the Bears
money.
are -5. Bears are -5.5. I'm taking the Bears.
Interesting.
So,
I like it. So, last question before we let you go here.
Yeah.
Matt Nagy on Eagles coach Doug Peterson. He'd always destroy vanilla soft serve ice cream. He'd fill that bad boy up and put a bunch of rainbow sprinkles on top and just devour it. He can crush food. My question for you, is it ever okay as a grown-ass man to put rainbow sprinkles on anything?
I don't know. Probably not. It is, but I wouldn't tell anybody about it. Also, at the same time, you win a Super Bowl and you run the Philly and you got balls enough to do that. I don't think anybody can make fun of you for putting sprinkles on your vanilla ice cream, which is, who eats vanilla anyways? Chocolate's the way to go.
Gotta go peanuts, man. Chocolate sundae with the peanuts, not the fucking sprinkles.
No, you guys are both wrong. Rainbow sprinkles all the way. Don't give a shit if it looks girly or not. They is aesthetically pleasing to me.
Yeah,
you put the sprinkles on and
aesthetically pleasing. Listen to
you're
you.
eating a fucking amazing treat, and I'm with Doug.
Yeah, put those little clumps of sugar on there and get your diabetes.
Yeah, I'm a Dairy Queen, soft serve cone dipped in crunch kind of guy. So
that does sound good as well. I'm also fat, and I like everything.
Let's be real, we all don't have our college bodies anymore.
That's it, man. That's it. So, anyway, Tony, we love you. Thanks for coming on, man. Telling a story. Appreciate it. Our Chicago Bears expert. Maybe we'll have you on here in the near future if the Bears move on to talk further. But like I mentioned, appreciate your insight and joining the cast here. And we'll talk to you very soon.
Yeah, anytime, guys. It was a pleasure. Awesome fun.
Thanks, Tony.
Thanks, guys.
Coach, you were 5-79 last year. Why the playoff talk?
Well, we made a couple of key trades, and we got the funk.
Welcome back, everybody, to the 2Close2Call podcast. You just heard one of the more outrageous stories I have ever heard in my life. Kev, is that all 100% true?
It really did. We went to the gas station. I said, hey, do you girls know of any bars around here? She whipped out his Xanax and said, I got a bar in my pocket. And from that point on, I said, Tony, I think these are our girls.
That was, I can't even fathom that being there. That's absurd.
It really was out of a movie, man, with the dogs, the Christmas lights, the ex-boyfriend, like going back to the house, the kid falling asleep, the table shattering, Dennison coming down naked. It's all unbelievable.
Hey, except for the whole breaking the table, you guys might get a bill in the old mail soon.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Nice that table.
But that wasn't even the most absurd part of that segment. The most absurd part was his score, 24-10 Bears. Are you kidding me?
Oh, no respect for Nick and the Eagles and the Super Bowl champions. He is right in the fact to say that team is they're I put them in the thing of the Eagles last year where they're so young and Nagy's so new to this whole head coaching thing that they could go on a run and they don't know any better. They can't get in their own way.
But the opposite of that's what I said with the Rams, man. They're not ready.
Yeah, and I agreed with you with that whole take of this is a new quarterback, and what I was trying to get to him with that whole adrenaline thing is week 6 against the Packers, his adrenaline's going, how high is his adrenaline going to be flying, and how many balls are going to be sailing on him? Now, don't get me wrong, our secondary isn't the greatest in the world, but, man, we've been pretty good as of late.
I do think it's going to be low scoring. I don't think the Eagles are going to go in and put up 30 like Nick's been doing. So I do see his point there of their defense is the unit they want on the field. So like the Eagles at the end of the game, it's like, hey, do you want the ball down 4 or do you want your defense on the field up 4? It's funny because I think the answers for both teams are we want defense. The Eagles with the ball and they're going to want their defense on the field. And that may be what it comes down to.
I guess I'm not as worried of the fact of the whole Khalil Mack's a monster, but I think Lane Johnson proved it last year. He can shut down their best pass rushers. He did it against Von Miller last year. He did it against Khalil Mack last year with the Raiders. I mean,
yeah, but I think they're going to move him around, man. They're going to put him on Samalu. If Peters goes down, they're going to try to put him on Vaitai. There's the possibility for some issues there. That's two guys who Samalu off the injury and Peters 80% that we could see some problems on Foles' blind side.
And there's no doubt. And Kelsey came out and they're like, why is it so easy to block for Nick? He gets the ball out of his hands and he's going to have to do it again this week.
Yeah, that's exactly right. A lot of quick passes, and that's where the discussion of a balanced offense usually comes into conversation, but that doesn't necessarily mean running the ball or passing the ball. It's those 3 2-yard passes that are technically run plays because Nick's only got the ball for a second. So like Washington, they had the ball for 10-plus minutes during drives, and he had 25 straight completions. It wasn't because they were pounding the football. It's because he was making good, quick decisions.
Right. And that's what Nick's going to have to do like he did last year. I mean, the Eagles cannot afford the Nick Foles of the Falcons game first half last year. They can't afford that. Their defense isn't as good as they were last year, and they're not at home. They get down, that crowd's going to be fired up. They need to score it. I don't know if Tony realized that the Eagles' stats of not scoring in the first quarter, but they haven't been scoring in the first quarter most of this year, and as of late they have, and they've been winning. So that kind of correlates with the Eagles winning, and he was dead on saying if they hold them in the beginning, there's a better chance of them winning this game.
So give me one key, one thing to look at.
Turn the ball over, both sides. Eagles got to create turnovers, and Nick's got to hold on to the ball. You can't be throwing to their secondary. You can't be because they're an opportunistic defense, and they are going to make you pay when you give them the ball and give them a chance. And Trubisky, being so young, he gets that confidence going. It's going to be a long day for the Eagles, especially with how depleted their defense is. But also, they got to take it away from them, too. When Mitch sails those balls need to be ours.
And the Eagles are minus in the turnover battle. But my key is red zone efficiency. So the Eagles have the number one red zone defense in the NFL in regards to touchdowns converted. And since Foles has been involved, their percentage has gone way up offensively. So I think both teams are going to move the ball. We know the Eagles give up a lot of yards, bend but don't break. I think Chicago is going to be very similar, and it could come down to our old buddy Cody Parkey against our new buddy Jake Elliott.
If it comes down to a Cody Parkey field goal and he makes it, I'm going to be real pissed.
So, having said that, give me your final score here to end the show.
Based off what we were saying, a low-scoring game is going to be the case this week. It's not going to be 24-10. I don't care if the Eagles win or lose. They're not losing by 14 points. And I could sound like an idiot next week if that is the case. Eagles 20, Bears 17.
Close one. Eagles cover. I'm going Eagles myself. Birds. I'm going 19-13.
Ooh.
4 field goals and a touchdown, and then 2 field goals and a touchdown.
Interesting.
19-13. Jake Elliott almost being an MVP going 4 for 4.
And he missed extra points, though.
All right, 18-13. Okay.
Yeah, there you go. You know he's going to miss one.
4 for 4 for field goals, 0 for 1 on extra points.
Oh, gosh, that annoys the crap out of me.
I love it. But, hey, guys, thanks for listening out there. Our episode number 2 hit 100 views, which is fucking awesome. So we really appreciate you guys listening, sharing our stories, our shows. So, Pags, why don't you hit them one more time with how they can follow us along and look forward to more episodes next week.
Absolutely, and we appreciate the feedback. Some people have reached out to me, some have reached out to Kev. Keep that coming. Keep it in the comments. Let us know what we can work on. And in order to hit us up, get on our Twitter and our Instagram tag at 2Close2Call cast with the number 2. And also like us on our Facebook page, 2Close2Call podcast. And more importantly, subscribe to our YouTube page. Get us out there so we can have more people listening, more things to work on, more things to fix here and there, and just people are going to want to hear the stories from this podcast. And get on our YouTube page, 2Close2Call podcast.
TGIF, man.
Absolutely.
Peace.